Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording. Today is Friday, September 14th. We're playing Hearthstone, in case you don't know. I need to play 30 Shaman cards on my European account, and then I'm gonna jump over to the Asian account and see what I need to do there, but I'm kind of going through things so fast that I may very well jump back here to the European account and try to play up to rank 20, because I'm at rank 22 right now. We have a ton of news, so lots and lots of games that came out. The floodgates really opened, so I probably need to just burn through a lot of these games. Let's see, I'm looking at a game on Steam called Boom Bits from a developer called Naughty Children at Play. It's a widescreen, but it doesn't look particularly graphically pretty. It seems like it's a top-down twin-stick shooter game with just a ridiculous amount of nonsense on the screen. Let's see. I'm gonna get rid of this one, and this one, and this one. See, this game has 30 achievements. It's 10% off for $22.49. Let's see if this developer's made anything else. No, they haven't. So yeah, initial release trying to make a AAA style game, but just not having that polish on it, which is kind of funny because in a weird way there's so many different paths to making what I describe as a extremely low effort game, and one of the ways is to use asset flips, assets, and then not put any care or interest in it. But another almost opposite way is to make a game like Boom Bits, where you don't take advantage of assets, and thus you seemingly hand animate everything and it just looks bad. Which there's really no reason, if you care about your game, for it to look bad. Like, you can get assets on the store as long as you're programming in a realistic engine, Unity or Unreal or some similar engine. You can just license assets and have a better looking game than what Boom Bits looks like. Or you can hire a custom artist and do something unique, which is ideal, but there's really no room in the middle for something else. Let's see if I play this. This. And then this. Now, I said in the last recording that I was going to get into a rant of starting to classify games as extremely low effort in my mind when they don't think their stories through. Well, I've always done that. When they don't think their names through. And particularly that's going to fall down on what is now a series of games that are just using the word hentai as part of their name, which hentai is just, it's directly translates to pervert from Japanese. It's been mistranslated to mean animated porn in the West. But if you have a game that is just called like Porn Puzzles, that's an extremely low effort name. And so I'm looking at a game called Hentai Sisters, so Porn Sisters, which is, it's just a tile sliding puzzle game. Like, we've seen so many of these with what I can only assume is unlicensed images. It's not showing anything. It's tagged with sexual content and nudity. But this also is from a troll developer who made Boobs Battleground and Logan vs. KSI and like several other low effort, extremely low effort games.
I wonder.
But it is down to the point where I am going to start thinking about and considering the name and dismissing games singularly because of the names they have. Let's see. There we go. Next game we have on Steam is Super Lucky's Tale. It's described as a delightful playground platformer for all ages, following Lucky, the ever-optimistic, energetic, and lovable hero, on his quest for inner strength and help his sister rescue the Book of Ages from Jinx. Jinx is the scheming end, and the description cuts off at that point. This is published by Microsoft Studios on PC. I'm not sure. It says it came out September 14th, 2018, today. It's made from Playful Corporation. I'm not sure if this isn't out new for everybody. And it does look like a Conquer game before Conquer's Bad Fur Day. Or, let's see. Hit that one. And that one. And hit that. This is very beautifully animated Super Lucky's Tale with a soft CGI looking animation that you might expect from like a cartoon movie. Every little bit of this looks good. The only real issue is how well does it play, because there have been a couple of these games that have come out recently that wanted to catch on to the old nostalgia of those games, which, like, since you're probably never going to get a Mario game on PC, this is the closest you'll get to a platforming game in the vein of something like Mario. Too short. So yeah, Super Lucky's Tale. There's really no way I couldn't put this on my Steam listing. It has a bunch of DLC because it's a brand new game. It's $19.99, so they're not even asking for $60 on this game. I really like the description here. Lucky being an ever optimistic, energetic, and lovable hero. It's been a very, very long time since we've had anybody make a character like that. It's for a very long time been all about being dark and spooky and not. Let's see.
Stormy, stormy.
Job's done.
Can't believe he survived that. So yeah, a new character. If Lucky is a new character, he probably isn't, but interesting nonetheless. We need to see kids games like that and open world 3D platformers come out. I'd say at least one every year, if not every 2 years maybe. Like I could skip a year for those type of games, but I certainly don't want to see it become this be like it used to be on PC, where PC was only for hardcore adult gamers and there was no kids games coming out for PC. We definitely want to see more acceptance of PC as an acceptable place for kids to play games. Particularly since poor parents these days probably are going to end up having to buy a computer or laptop or iPad or something for their kids for school. So you would ideally want it to be something that's like a Windows PC that could run some games too, so you're not spending $600 for an Xbox One and then another $600 for a PC, and neither one of them are as efficient as just Well, just having a PC and playing on Steam. Next, we have a game called Sabers, A Noble Duel. S-A-B-R-E-U-R-S. I'm not sure if that's how you spell saber, or is that saberers. It's a local two-player fencing game about two noblemen settling their disagreement. Maybe someone insulted the other's mother, wronged their family, touted noble upbringings, but that doesn't matter. Again, that description gets cut off. The graphics don't look great here. Like this honestly feels like it could have been a small mini game experience where you would do some fighting, Monkey Island style sword fighting, it looks like. But this being the only game really does not make any sense at all. There's different ways you could go with this. There is For Honor, which was quite a bit of a flop, but it probably looks a lot better and has better sword fighting mechanics than the jankiness that I'm seeing right now in the trailer. Or you could go with like some of the Tales from Monkey Island would have like small sword fighting sections like this. Let's see, do I want to... If I play this next turn, I can't play this till the next turn. So I'm just going to do this. Yeah, this just does not look good. There is also a very fast-paced sword fighting game that came out a couple of years ago where you're running to the left and the right of the screen. Is it called Ysindra, the World Eater? It's the name of that serpent in Viking myths.
Shall we make a storm?
I want to say Nimrod, but that's definitely not the name of it. But that's a very fast-paced sword fighting game. This is just kind of nothing. I'm spending too much time on it. Also, it's 10% off for $8.99 and the first game from this developer. Looks like a experiment, not really a finished game. So, next game we have on Steam is Zoo Tycoon Ultimate Animal Collection, and it is rated mostly negative with 22% positive out of 27 user reviews. It came out today. It's from Frontier Development and it's from Microsoft Studios. The idea of a Zoo Tycoon game seems interesting. This might have been like a Kinect game that is getting now ported to PC, because I know there definitely are some Kinect games that are getting ported to PC today. This doesn't look terrible. Doesn't look amazingly great either. So I want to see what the reviews are. With such negative reviews, it's worth checking it out. It's $19.99 with no discount. It says it has 200 visually stunning animals from around the globe. Having a digital zoo is a cool idea, certainly for a lot of kids that maybe could get to a can't get to zoos very often. Metacritic says this game was 68%, where the user score is 81%. Let's see. First not recommended says looks good, but you can't even make your own exhibits. That was the best part of Zoo Tycoon 1 and 2. Next not recommended says terrible, really poor controls and overly complicated. Let's see. Here somebody says this is my first review of a Steam game and I feel pretty bad that it's negative. You really shouldn't. Like, negative reviews are really the only valuable reviews on Steam. They're skipping it. There isn't any deep customization at all. It is a significant departure on how the original Zoo Tycoons were played. I was really excited when I saw this game announced and was looking forward to hours of in-depth customization, and 40 minutes of boring tutorials later. The game turned out to be very one-dimensional and very disappointing. You literally just drag and drop pre-made exhibits to a big empty map. Minimal path placement control, minimal exhibit editing, minimal visual gratification from gaining more guests. It's just unfortunate all over the board. When you upgrade facilities, your stats are the only thing that change. They couldn't even draw a fancier version of the facility and have changed it into that when you upgrade. I muscled through the tutorials. Let's see. Need to play. 2 damage to everything. Where does this review go? I muscled my way through the tutorials, hoping that the freedom of a sandbox would make things more interesting. Nope. Gameplay completely aside. My screen pulses when in first person mode, and I could deal with that game if the game was good. It would probably never. It'll probably be the first ever Steam game that I refunded. And that was an hour, 1.2 hours of reviews. So it seems like the Zoo Tycoon series got changed very differently. And this is from a developer who made like Elite Dangerous also, or some parts of Elite Dangerous, and some other games like Jurassic World Evolution and Planet Coaster. It almost feels like Zoo Tycoon 2 was only made under the condition that it wouldn't actually be anything like Zoo Tycoon 1. 1 or 2. Zoo Tycoon Ultimate Animal Collection, correction, is the game I'm talking about. If I could get enough people on the field and then play 2 of these, maybe I could do something there. So I'm gonna keep Zoo Tycoon on my list. Well, you know what I'll do is let's just do the work right now. Zoo Tycoon for PC.
Let's see.
Let's see.
The Earth Mother was busy.
Zoo Tycoon 1 doesn't seem like it's available on Steam, so let's try Zoo Tycoon 2. Like I just see some Amazon.com links and some download places. So let's see when Zoo Tycoon 2 came out. It's a 2004. And it was on what platforms? Microsoft Windows.
I wonder.
What developers made this? Blue Fang Games. So it was a different name than who made Zoo Tycoon Ultimate Animal Collection. So yeah, Microsoft basically hired people to release something under that name, basically just to keep the license fresh. But they definitely didn't do a good job on it. So it seems like there is no good Zoo Tycoon game on Steam. I'm sure there's probably a clone or something though. Moving on, we have a game called Rush, a Disney Pixar adventure. Rush, a Disney Pixar adventure, invites families and fans of all ages to experience the world's 6 beloved Disney Pixar films like never before. Team up with characters like The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Up, Cars, Toy Story, and the fish one. What is the fish one? Finding Nemo? That's the other picture I see. Again, probably because my resolution is zoomed in, my window is zoomed in, you're not seeing too much of this. So it seems like what this is, if I was to guess, is several infinite runner games with different characters and different environments. There might be some other mini games here. Like, I am getting a growing collection of Disney games that I wanted to cover and very possibly will never get around to actually covering. So this is one that will go to my wish list and probably just sit there. It has 50 achievements, it's $19.99. It says you solve puzzles and uncover hidden secrets too. So it's not just all infinite runners. Like, even though that's what it looks like. The Metacritic score on this is 73%. There's one recommended review that says, I recommend this game to kids and not to teens or adults. So it's probably a pretty simplistic game. The Disney aspect on this, though, makes it something that I have to kind of say yes to. Again, this feels like this is probably a Kinect game that has been converted back into a PC game. It's being published by Microsoft Studios, so Microsoft Studios is also flooding Steam. And even when Microsoft does it, it's really not appropriate or smart to just dump your games all at the exact same day out on the exact same time.
Put this apple on your head.
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Achievement Clicker, The End, which is probably, they're saying it's coming out September 21st. It's probably the end of achievement clickers, because I bet they're not allowed to have as many achievements as they would like. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Steam achievements are completely removed from this game and it's achievements inside the game. This, of course, is just like a total garbage game from a troll developer who's released other troll games. Let's see. This. And in return, TechRaptor has an article, Dark Narrative, The Sorrow of the Widow Moira, M-O-I-R-A. This is, I think, an article about an old game called Thief Deadly Shadows. So they're just nostalgic and talking about an old game. Yeah, talking about Thief, which, like, the two things you can do wrong as a video game journalist is fall into nostalgia and talk about an irrelevant game. Although, to be fair, that is also what I do. Like, I can't really deny the fact that when I'm playing an old game and doing a retrospective, I am effectively writing an article just visually and verbally instead of in print. I'm writing a review and an article about an old game. That being said, if you're talking specifically about games that people have talked about tons of times before, you really need to have some good reason or new spin you can release on that, on covering that new game, and I don't feel like they do. I feel like a lot of journalists, video game journalists, to call them that generously, have this issue where they talk about the same game over and over again, at least like once a year. Let's see, mech. Totem, this is nothing.
Minion already attacked.
Murloc. Let's get rid of that one. And then let's get rid of that one. Let's play that. And then do that. Go ahead. Get rid of that. Next game we have on Steam is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Right now it is 92% positive with 514 user reviews. I saw the Giant Bomb quick look of this game, and which certainly was not a quick look. There's more tombs, which is good, but there's also more collectibles and resource gathering, which I would say is probably not adding too much to the experience. There's otherwise, from the best as I can tell, this Tomb Raider game is an incremental improvement from Tomb Raider 2 and Tomb Raider 1, which I played Tomb Raider 1 and 2, and they were like A- style games, totally worth playing, but also not like replaying or getting super hyped about. I did see at least one death sequence where she just faded to black and died, instead of the first games lovingly animating the death sequence of Lara Croft. Let's see. Do I want to kill this or just do some damage? Like, I could kill this character.
Job's done.
They said that a lot of the objects are hard to see, so you're in the detective vision mode a lot. And Giant Bomb also said that most of the fighting, there was a lot less fighting in the
sun has set for me.
first part of the game, so as far as they've played, so maybe there's a bunch of fighting at the end.
Has set for me.
Wouldn't be a terrible ending. It would kind of suck if for a third time in the Tomb Raider reboot series they would just have you do this big boss fight. Let's see, what do I want to do here? If I do this, and then do this, and then I need like 2 more spaces, so I'd have to do something like this, and then this, and I have to do something like this, that, there's really not too much to say here. Denuvo or Anti-Tamper and a third-party EULA come with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's $59.99, but perhaps with the DLC you have to get the digital deluxe version, which is $70 to get the DLC, and I think you probably want that DLC. As far as the RTX element, I don't think anybody's going to really use that, and I don't think it's going to run particularly smoothly. You get the extra costumes unlocked earlier in Shadow of the Tomb Raider 2, so you can play as the old low polygon version of Lara Croft if you want. I think I want to finish out the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy, and then I would like to see them go back to the old ways. I really think that's where I am at this point. So it's just 4 and 3 and there. I would have lost had I not gotten Bloodlust. And we're working our way up, but I guess we're not getting a winning streak. Yeah. Yeah, I would be happy if they rethought it and went back to some of the things that they missed. That they left on the cutting room floor from the old Tomb Raider games in a new trilogy.
Let the hunt begin for Doomhammer.
Like, honestly, I don't know if the Lara Croft character that they've written has any more games in her, because it all became very much about Trinity in the second game, and the idea of fighting Trinity as the enemy in every single game going forward is just not appealing. And I'm not sure you can really do more than a trilogy in any game series anyways. Like, we may just be down to that level where 3 games and you're out, and then it's time for a reboot again. Yeah, Microsoft is just putting everything that they've released in the past couple of years. ReCore Definitive Edition is on Steam. Now, I believe ReCore was already on PC, but maybe it wasn't on Steam. This was, from what I understand though, not really a finished game, so it would have to be pretty cheap. It definitely, from the reviews I saw, felt like it was not a finished game. It says it's from the creator Keiji Inafune and the makers of Metroid Prime. This is where Microsoft put a lot of money into a lot of developers to have them to try and get them to make games that were Xbox exclusives, which is funny because that's exactly what happened at E3 too, is that they bought and are partnering. I think they more bought companies than partnered with companies this year. Maybe last year was the idea we partnered with companies and they didn't really work well for us, so this time let's buy them so we can get them to make slightly better quality games. It really is kind of a crapshoot, for lack of a better term, though, as far as whether a game is going to be high quality or not. Might as well just attack here.
Job's done.
There goes our explosive trap. So yeah, ReCore will go on my wish list, but it is going to be very much on a tentative basis that people now that it's selling for $19.99 when I think this was probably a $60 game when it first came out. That we'll just have to see what people feel like it is now. The Metacritic rating of this game, and Metacritic, the plugin I have for enhancing Steam and telling me the Metacritic rating, is going to have to start making some divisions there between like old versions of the game and new versions of the game, because at least in this case there's DLC added to make the experience more of a complete thing. But also this yeah, I'm looking at one of the reviews and they're saying I played this on the Windows Store version, so it feels like the push to get games on the Windows Store is being given up too. So Microsoft Studios has just decided to go in a different direction, which, okay, that's certainly an interesting thought. Let's go ahead and just do this. Interesting. Next game we have on Steam is also from Microsoft Studios. There's just a whole list. They put them all out at the exact same time. This one's called Disneyland Adventures. This one is actually a really interesting one because I know this was a Kinect game. Basically, it's very minimal mini games, but you were in Kinect wandering around Disneyland. So for, what does this cost? $19.99. Your kid can wander around as their avatar and see 18 popular attractions with 100 quests and interact with 35 beloved Disneyland characters like Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Alice in Wonderland, the Squirrels, Peter Pan. It's not Alvin and the Chipmunks.
What to do?
That would be the Disneyland ones. That would be something else. Two Squirrels, Donald Duck, Captain Hook. It's E10 plus. Definitely a game worth getting. Maybe not a game worth getting at full price. Like Steam's fall sale is usually not a great sale, but this one was a cool idea. It's really not much of a game though. I will fully admit it's not much of a game, but it is something of an adventure. It's kind of a shame that these Kinect games aren't getting otherwise connected into VR, because it really wouldn't be too much of a mod in this instance to be looking out of the eyes of one of the characters, one of the avatar characters. Yeah, so Disneyland Adventures, definitely something you'd want for kids. In fact, with just the games that are coming from Microsoft Studios, because they clearly in a couple of years ago were trying to be more kid friendly and have more introductory things that could have been that could be system sellers for young kids and parents. Steam itself is getting quite a lot of more kid-friendly games, which I'm sure Steam is very happy about that, although I don't know why you wouldn't just, one a week. When you look at like Microsoft's release schedule, there's really no reason why you'd want to get them all out now, other than the fact that we're approaching Black Friday, like Thanksgiving, maybe? But I imagine for the number of games that have been released, you could have still pretty easily had all of these games out by Black Friday if you were just releasing it like one game a week. And certainly for me, that for a person like me who's looking at all of the games that come out in a week,
with taunt is in the way.
I could see myself every week going, hey, Microsoft Studios has this new game out, this old game out, but new to Steam. Moving on, we have a non-Microsoft Studios game on Steam, so I think they're done with their dump right now, called Brainstorm. It looks like it's a tanagram puzzle mental game, and really nothing else. While it does have a little bit of polish in its graphics, it really is just a one-screen Unity looking game. It has 27 achievements, it's early access for no reason, and it's $1.99. Yeah, why is your puzzle game in early access? And of course it's the first game from this developer. Can we... Let's see. I need to kill something and I can't kill anything. So let's go ahead and kill that. Go ahead and kill that. I guess I could have merged with that. Let's go do that. Get the explosive trap off the field. Gamasutra has an article. Riot devs net 2.5 million to help launch new LA studio Singularity 6. Now Riot, the saga of Riot, whether it's going to play in any part in the story will be interesting, but it is a company I think has about 10,000 employees, so this could be any number of Riot devs, not just specifically the two that were fired for being rude on Twitter. There is one feminist that I listen to, I don't always agree with her, called Liana K, who I don't consider her a third wave feminist or a sex negative feminist. She's actually very, defines herself as a sex positive feminist. And one of her arguments, which was interesting, and I hadn't thought about it from this perspective, is that while the two developers who were fired from Riot for defending and being rude on Twitter for having Riot having a no men allowed meetings, it was only women and trans women were allowed. So if you were any other kind of minority, you weren't allowed, and if you were just a cis white male, you were definitely not allowed. So they were defending that. They got fired for being rude. But the original claim by the Kotaku article, which I still against Riot, which I still think that Kotaku article was malicious and poorly written and didn't give any real details or any explanation. But she made an interesting point. It's like, if the original claim that it was a hostile work environment because they would talk over women in meetings, which is a terrible way to run a meeting, certainly. Like, only one person should be talking, and I kind of brushed it off. But if it really rose to more of a level of that they were actively and hostilely talking over people because we just don't want to listen to women, and it really is just a hostile work environment for many different reasons, which there have been some stories that at least some of the employees are that way at Riot. But again, 10,000 employees, yeah, almost any job some employees would be that way. I'm pretty sure every job I've ever worked at, I've found at least a few employees who are hostile. That doesn't immediately boil down to a hostile work environment as much as it just is dealing with hostile co-workers. So she makes, Liana K made an interesting point, which I've said several times now but not gotten to, that the hostility of those two Riot devs that got fired is definitely in line with the hostility that was complained about by former ex-employees. So there clearly are hostile employees at Riot and other places, certainly. whether they are hostile in their misguided attempts to defend SJW values, or whether they're hostile to hostile against those type of things. It kind of doesn't really even seem to matter that much. Come on, get real lucky and hit this one. Now get real lucky and hit this one again. There we go. So let's get into this story and see if this is a puzzle piece that matches that saga, or if this is just completely different. The article goes, news slipped out today. I don't know why you phrase it slipped out, but I guess maybe there's more story to explain where the story came from. That there's a new gaming studio in Los Angeles, Singularity 6, founded by former Riot staffers Anthony Leung and Adrian Karabakh, which I may have to just Google search these people.
I wonder.
Let's see. Yeah, I can't even find these people because they're not important enough yet. They may be important in a moment, but I should have attacked before I played this one. My turn. So staffers Anthony Leung, Leung, and Adrian Aidan Karabakh, Karabach, with an eye towards creating genre-defying online games. Notably, the pair secured $2.5 million in seed funding from London Ventures Partners, which is reportedly the largest single investment firm has ever made in a company. Perhaps most notably for the game devs, Singularity 6 appears to be hiring. Further details can be found at the company's new website. So let's click on this link and let's see if I can, like, I would have to I'd have to try and see.
I must protect the wild. For Doomhammer.
Well, looking at Adrian Karabakh's LinkedIn profile, they're saying that he worked at Riot Games up until March, which would have been before the major incidences. Which I don't know. Maybe this is how you start your new business now. Is you man, that would be really crazy if you were going to start a new company and you hated your current company, so you started leaking out stories to Kotaku so that they'd write hit pieces on them, so that you could get employees mad at Riot Games so they'd come work at your company. I mean, inherently, you'd have to really have a reason to hate your company. And this is 100% tinfoil hat theory that I'm spouting off right now, but wow, that would be something of a crime novel twist. So let's see if I can find Anthony Leung's. So yeah, it doesn't really feel like this breaks into
Beetleberries, my favorite.
It doesn't really feel like this breaks into a anything like that, but let's see, it's making me see if I can element zap this.
What to do?
Here we go. Element zap that, and then element zap this. I'm using my U-block feature. Yeah, it still didn't work. Let's keep on trying this. Keep on playing. Like, I set up my router to block. There we go. To block ads, but some of the ads certainly still get through. YouTube ads in particular are almost impossible to block, and so I'm still using the, what's this one called? uBlock Origin on Chrome on my computer. But it works good enough for my cell phone, and not having my cell phone need to use extra processing power to run a VPN app to block things. It speeds up the internet throughput, I think, quite a bit. Okay. So the Anthony Leung, according to his LinkedIn, stopped working at Riot October 2017. So that would have been, and he was the development director. So this, like, unless this is a long conspiracy, there really is nothing here. I don't think there's a connection between the two.
Shall we make a storm?
Okay. Can we do this? If I do this, I'm gonna miss one. Is there a reason to not do this though? One, two, three. Attack in the turn. I'm looking at the quotes in a longer article with talking about Singularity 6, and I'm not seeing anything here that seems like they're saying anything other than we're just
I can see.
they're trying to make social games. Let's see, what's the quote here? They wish to pursue a vision to create genre-defining online titles that become a key part of a person's identity. Games that invite players to join compelling virtual worlds with thriving online communities. So it looks like they want to make MMOs. And with gameplay that drives meaningful social experiences. So yeah, interesting. We're on a roll, so I'm not going to break the roll. So let's just keep on playing Shaman and try to make it up to rank 20. Interesting. So it's kind of nice, just to editorialize here, to have a story that really isn't even related to Riot, but is not more of just the same thing over and over again. And see, part of this certainly is like, when you hear horror stories from Konami, you expect to hear horror stories from Konami. Everybody knows Konami treats their employees awfully. But when I really didn't know anything about League of Legends developer Riot, and then all these stories start coming out, and they all come out at the same time, that triggers in my mind conspiracy theories more than coincidences that all these stories are coming out. Like, honestly, even if you were trying to attack a company, they need to like release one story, then wait a month, and then release another story, and wait a month. And most journalists would do that, because let's say they release a story and then a news source comes and says, I've got a similar story I would like to share. It would take you probably a month of investigative journalism at least to confirm that story and release it again. You wouldn't have it follow like a daily news cycle where we're going to talk about the same thing over and over again. And certainly that's where like mainstream news in itself has just fallen to pieces, is because you get a lot of stories where it's like, we're gonna talk about this for the next week straight, and it's the same thing over and over again. There's no new information. We've got to cover that 24-hour news coverage, and I just don't look at online video game news sources as needing to be 24-hour news channels, which frankly aren't very newsy in what they're reporting a lot of times. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Tishka Buska. This sounds like a Russian game, and it looks like it's just a bunch of shapes. It's only in English. It's like a bunch of pattern textures on some very basic shapes. I don't know if this is some kind of game. And the description here does not make any sense at all. So it looks like a troll game to me. The description is: fight for redemption through the eyes of Moklan, a mysterious figure in search of vengeance in a world of dishonesty and tyranny. This action-packed unseen combination of adventure and racing game offers 9 levels of pure intrigue, danger, each with 9 different challenges, culminating in a war against your arch nemesis. What I am seeing looks nothing like what is being described. It is not that game. And it is some low effort garbage. $2.99, no discount. First game from this developer. So moving on. I bet there's a bunch of these. Next we have a game called Smoker the Card Game, which I think is probably maybe I need to call this game slightly more than a low effort asset flip, just for the fact that that this actually looks relatively good looking. 5, 4, and this. And the turn.
You are past redemption.
This game is early access, $10.99. I'm trying to find a reason to eliminate this. The problem with this game is that I think it is just doing donuts and racing, and it doesn't look like it's up to the level of the very high bar that most racing games set, and it doesn't seem like it has enough levels. Some of the AAA developers, or AA developers perhaps, have made racing games with not enough levels and maps and tracks. And so yeah, I don't see anything here that even meets that level of quality. This is also the first game for this developer, so Smoker the Card Game getting closed. Also, you know, again, we have this issue of games that just do not they don't have a great system of naming their games. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, if you're not putting enough effort into developing and naming your game, you're still probably not doing enough. Will this be enough? It should be. Eurogamer has an article. Kirby's Epic Yarn has a new version for the Nintendo 3DS. And I'm just gonna go a little long here. I'm not gonna break the streak. Let's get to rank 20. I know we should be on the Asian account doing those daily quests, but Nintendo Direct happened and there was a lot of Nintendo Direct stuff. But most of it's not important either. Particularly for a PC gamer. I think it clearly is. Games announced at E3 are sort of important to know. Games announced at Tokyo Game Show are sort of important to know. And then games announced at anything else, including a Nintendo Direct, which seems like Nintendo Directs happen just whenever you want them to happen. Not really worth knowing. Like, nobody's gonna miss a Nintendo game. It's not the old days where Nintendo games came out by so many different developers and publishers that you had 5 or 6 of them coming out, and you had no internet back in the day, so you could very easily simply not hear of a release of some game. But also, back in the day when Nintendo games and Game Boy games were coming out in droves, the vast majority of them were bad games anyways, and it really was only the first party Nintendo titles that mattered. Now we're slightly in a better place because it is closer to a case of third-party developers developing good games. Here we go, we have a game called Nutrients for Life, again a kind of low-effort title. They say it's a virtual reality experiences to learn about applying nutrients to your crops. I'm not sure why you need a virtual reality title for what is basically just a farming simulator. And I'm not really sure that there's actually any real science behind actual farming, in other than there's probably, I'd say at most, a dozen different varieties of fertilizers you can get. And maybe you need to add nitrogen sometimes to your soil, or maybe you need to add, I don't know, sulfates or salt. I don't even know what else you would add to a soil on top of just regular old fertilizer. So I don't think for most farmers you could afford or would really even need to have your soil sampled every acre, have several points in that acre sampled, and then in those samples you have some kind of custom made like a custom made fertilizer designed specifically for your plant's needs. Otherwise though, just talking about this game, it just doesn't look good. It's free, so I guess the price is right, but it's in VR, so I'm gonna skip it anyways. Let's see if this developer has made anything else. Well, the page doesn't even want to load. So yeah, I think we'll just close that tab and move on. Ooh, here is a great example of what I figured I'd be ranting about today. As far as games with low effort names, we have a game called Angel and Devil, comma Ninja, comma Sushi, comma Chumpera, comma Panda. No comma, so they're not using the Oxford comma. And the Statue of Liberty, and it's Liverty, not Liberty. This looks like a MS Paint looking NES game. Looks just kind of like a troll. It's $2.99. It looks very much like an NES game, so if somebody was going to tell me that this actually did come out
I wonder.
back then, that would be interesting. But no, I'm pretty sure it's a troll developer, because looking here I see the other games that they've developed are called Fantasy of Eden, Satan's Castle, Mysterious Adventure of Michael. It's some kind of weird troll games trying to get ultra religious people, ultra Christian people to play. And then apparently they've given up even on that, and now they're just trying for search engine optimization, which certainly work. It won't work. PC Gamer has an article, Absolver, Downfall is a free expansion that will let you fight like Bruce Lee. Start stretching now is the subtitle. Absolver is a game that I want to get around to playing. I'm not 100% sure that it has, as of yet, been at a good value point to justify start playing it now. But eventually I know the price will get down and I will want to play it. The part of the problem with Absolver, as I understand it, is that it really is just about fighting, and I don't think much of a story or anything else to it. This DLC, this free DLC, Absolver Downfall, is due out September 25th. So, yeah. Absolver, with little tweaks, has a chance of being a hidden classic in the future. Keep on trying to kill things. TechRaptor has an article, Raging Heroes Inquisition Anger Pack, beautiful and badass. It says, what is this game? Raging Heroes, Toughest Girls in the Galaxy line of miniatures. Is this it? This isn't a video game, this is a board game. Miniatures. And, well, that's slightly interesting to talk about miniatures that you would then have to put together and paint. It really has nothing to do with video game. Not unless they can get it in digital form. And that is our streak broken, so that is a good point to end this recording too. So we may still need to come back and play some more and try to get up to rank 20. We're not too far. Getting to rank 20 is the minimal goal each month. Ideally, we'd like to get up to rank 18 or higher, and maintain that and make progress on that. But I'm certainly not spending a lot of time on this stuff either. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.